Good morning, everyone. And my name is Kieran Swail, Tourism Innovation Specialist at Southern Regional College, and a very warm welcome to our fourth in the series of our summer series of workshops. And today we're talking about creating virtual rooms for virtual experiences with my good friend and colleague Cathal McDonnell and myself, and we're ably assisted by Sarah and Aisling and Brian and the business support team. As I say, this is the fourth. It's been very successful. The virtual seminars have been a response to really, I suppose, what industry have been telling us during the COVID-19, and we've been trying to tailor solutions that we think will help businesses. So today, I have no doubt you're going to hear some new technologies and really inspire you in your business to start to think about how you could maybe embrace virtual rooms in the future. Just a reminder as well, next week I'm going to be talking about introduction to podcasts, following on from our good friend and colleague Wayne Denner, who did a workshop about 2 months ago. I'm ably going to be helped by Sarah. Thank you, Sarah. It's going to help us as well next week. Then that's Friday the 7th of August. Then on Friday the 14th of August, my colleague Brian McGee is going to talk in his webinar. He's going to be talking about cyber security. The last of our summer series is then going to be the following Friday, which is the 21st of August, and that's my colleague Jimmy Moore. And Jimmy's going to be talking about lean manufacturing and how it will benefit your business. Today's workshop and today's series is being supported by Connected NI under two of our themes, our emerging technologies theme and our innovation strand theme as well, and also obviously by the college there. So really on to today. Cathal, if you would maybe move on to the next slide, please. So a little bit about Cathal and myself, very briefly. So Cathal's been with us now as a part-time business mentor for a number of months, but I've known Cathal really from my time back in 2012 when he was a client at Southern Regional College. Karl is an artist to begin with, and I suppose the 2D isn't there. He's a 3D artist as well. He brings a lot to the table in terms of his skills. Very, and he's probably smiling at this, but Karl's always ahead of you, and I have to bring him back. He's always way ahead. He just knows what's coming up next. So that's his design background. He is a developer of augmented reality apps in Unity and Blender and WebVR. He's recently been a certified Google developer, and we've been able to bring that expertise into some of the projects we've been looking at. Now he's currently studying for a Unity Educator Certificate, so anybody in the audience who knows about gaming or CAD software will be familiar with Unity, and this expertise is coming in more to play, certainly very much so with virtual reality. He himself is an active user of augmented reality sales tools for his own business, and we've been able to share some of that in the businesses that I've been working with in terms of some of the platforms that he's been using. Briefly on to me then. So I'm back at Southern Regional College. I say back at because I used to be a lecturer here a number of years ago, but since 2012 I've been working with business support. Over that time I've helped 250 plus businesses, and it's been really interesting for me to do that, and it continues to be a challenge. Every year it brings new trends, new challenges, and we're right in the thick of one, which will probably be the classic game changer, what's happened in the last 3 months. I've just recently completed, although I'm waiting for my certificate to come through, a postgraduate diploma in innovation and design thinking. That was really from Emeritus. This is an online college, and really has, at my age and stage in life, has made me think a lot about how we do things, and I'm hopeful to bring the learning from that course into my projects. Like Cathal, I'm very much interested in augmented reality and 360 tours, using 360 cameras, developing interactive maps and trails. I've been a conference and event facilitator for the Cross-Border Tourism Conference for the last 3 years, which has been very enjoyable. I'm recently back into podcasting and hoping to launch my podcast, Tomorrow's Visitors, on the 6th of August. And I also, in addition to my day-to-day job, in the evening, I'm a part-time lecturer at Southern Regional College. I'm a tour guide trainer. So, Cathal, if you'd move on to the next slide then. In relation to, I think, some of the areas we're going to touch on today about augmented reality and virtual reality, we're often asked, well, which is which? So augmented reality really in its essence is It's overlaying digital content on top of the real world. In comparison then to virtual reality, which replaces the reality with a completely new 3D digital environment. Made reference back there to the likes of Blender and other ways of doing that. Now, web VR is coming into play a lot more, and this employs like the best gaming technology on any web connected screen, and that's going to be more prevalent now in the next number of months, the next number of years. If you move on to number 4 there, Cathal, please. So what we're looking at today then about creating virtual rooms for virtual experiences. Some of you may know about this. I suspect many of you won't. We think it's going to be very significant, not just now, but in the future. And we're going to look particularly here now, how do virtual rooms work for your business? The platform that we've been using is called Mozilla Hubs, but there are others there. But this seems to be, it's an open source and seems to be very user-friendly. And we'll be taking you through examples of it. Most importantly, we're going to explain how it works in terms of holding live conversations and why in a virtual environment you'd want to consider this. If you're a business inside a virtual room, you can have interactive touch points where your room or your shop, could be a selling space. And that's where we think is really, really important. And that leads nicely then to future solutions. What will happen in virtual rooms in the future? What are they going to look like? Why would you use them? So that, folks, hopefully I'm going to bridge over now to Cathal, if you're ready to go there, Cathal, and I'll let Cathal then take you on through the next couple of slides. Thank you.
Hello, good morning, folks, and thanks for attending. Over the past few months with SRC, we've been looking at AR and how to employ that for businesses, in particular local businesses. And then the pandemic hit, so we had to focus harder, work harder to come up with a solution using the AR and VR tools that we were examining. Retail, we've examined a couple of areas. Just let me get back there. Yeah, we examined a couple of areas in particular. We've looked at retail, hospitality sector, event sector, and then even coupled with that, gallery spaces. Over the past while, as you know, COVID has created a vacuum where a lot of people were unable and maybe still unwilling to attend a bricks and mortar shop if you're in retail. At the same time, Zoom has become a big part of everybody's working life. At the same time, we're just working on how to employ web VR in your business in a virtual space that you can access easily, you can update easily, and tailor business to come to you in a virtual space. At the same time, we were examining Mozilla Hubs. This was one exhibition that was organised in America in response and as part of the reply to COVID-19 and the art world is in particular. 150 artists came together under one umbrella and designed a lot of artwork based on COVID-19. They then submitted this to Mozilla Hubs and formed a virtual exhibition in a virtual space. There's just a quick video of how it works. All of this is built in a virtual room. Each of the artworks, I'll put a link up at the very end so you can visit this exhibition. It's still open and it's a wonderful example of where we're going with web VR. VR, virtual reality, was originally the niche of gamers with expensive specialist headsets that had to be tethered to computers, cost a fortune. While the results were amazing, not everybody could access it or is going to make the investment into headsets. Over the past few years, I've been developing a lot of AR apps. Well, basically, I wanted to make them work on phones and tablets because that's what everybody has. I've got a couple of Unity and Vuforia and different bits and pieces. But again, they have their drawbacks. It's a big layout for the customer. It's sort of static. It's hard to update. They can be unwieldy to update with different phones and different setups and receptions, and there's so many parameters. I was looking for something simpler. So this there's no app to download. It's just a simple web link. It can be updated easy in the background, and you can see like the results that you can get are quite stunning. So the open source end of it is very important to where we are.
Cathal, could you stop there by the jukebox?
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, can I just jump in there, Cathal? I think this is fantastic, and I know you and I were looking at it. We're chatting yesterday with Sarah on this. I think this particular example is, I haven't seen anything like this. So just again, for our listeners and audience that are here today, this is created on 7 floors. All right. So this is a fully immersive, interactive experience, which is not replicated in the real world. Okay, that's the first thing. But it could be, what we're seeing now could easily be places that I'm familiar with, and I've used in the past an example of like the Ulster Museum in Belfast. So they have, I think, 4, maybe 5 floors. Yeah. So here you have the opportunity of something like this, which would mean if you're, unable to visit through one reason or another, you can't get to a location, or perhaps you have access restrictions that you're unable to get up to a floor. Here you can experience really more than just live, because obviously this particular exhibition isn't a live exhibition as in the real world, but you are able to have a really immersive and a fantastic experience. What really wowed me when I saw this is the quality, and maybe that's when you're talking about Unity and Blender and things. Is how do you get this quality, and how do you get the feel of this? But no, I'm kind of reflecting. I think this is fantastic, and I think this really is significant, certainly in terms of my background in arts and tourism and leisure and visitor facilities. I think this is really significant.
Yeah. And a lot of development has been done open source, so the code keeps updating very regular, not to get too technical. But at the same time, you can use the interface, and it's quite easy to manipulate and understand. If you have a background, if you know how to update a website, or you know how to update social media, with a little bit of training and a little bit of attention, you can update regularly what is on the walls or what is on the shelves. So that's just a brief example of what a team of specialists in Silicon Valley can do with the technology. So here is an example of a local company that we've teamed up with to bring some of this technology and make it relevant to right here, right now. Lordship Design have been established in Uri for lots of years, and this is the most recent premises. We endeavoured to replicate the actual shop. So this is a quick video run through of preparation where we're at. This is basically to show when you come into the shop, you would have a wee video intro, virtual space. You come up into the shop. I don't know if anybody here knows the premises. So here we are. There's a replication, digital twin, if you like, which is a term used a lot in CAD recently. But this is like a supplemental space. If the shop's not open, or you can't get into it, or people are unwilling to go, this is a new technology. I'm just displaying here how if you right click, you see the full artwork, full size on your screen, and then you can see the description right beside it, and then click straight through into the web sale. Stock can be changed easy as it sells. It's just a matter of updating the master file, which, as I said, it's no harder than updating as Wix website or whatever platform you're on. So you can get to see all the artworks, and if the other beauty of this is you can take people in here with you. Websites, if you're shopping on a website, it's a solitary experience. People aren't going to crowd around the screen and talk about what you're looking at. But you can have somebody, another virtual person in here with you, helping you make decisions. Or if you're the retailer, you can be here as in the real world, showing your wares, telling the story behind it, and making the ability to close the sale, which isn't present in traditional websites. All right, so social media and chatbots and chat windows help a bit with buying decisions, but there's no human interaction, there's no social interaction, there's no salesmanship, if you like.
Cathal, would you go back there to the painting? I know you're going to talk a little bit more about e-commerce shortly, but just go back to some of the paintings there, because just to make sure everybody gets this. First of all, I'd like you to see the painting to the left. I know you have the Mourne wall at the background there, but if you're able to, if you're not able to, that's okay. But if you were able to go to the one beside, that's fine. There's fine. Before that actually was just, I want people to fully appreciate the detail here and how virtually you can go right up inspect, if you like. Look at that. You can go up right up to inspect the painting, and for me, initially looking at it, I think I thought, is this a boat, a long Viking boat? Okay, that's what I thought. And now going up to it, I have some familiarity with the Mourns. It's the Mourne Wall. I'm thinking, wow, fantastic. Look at the detail I can see virtually. Now, here's what I'd love. I'd love then to have, if it was Loretta who actually painted this, and I'm presuming it was, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I'd love to have a conversation with Loretta about what inspired her, when did she do this, what inspired her for the painting, a bit about the textures and the colors and why she did that, and I suppose a little bit about, you'd want to negotiate it as well and talk around it, but just I would love to talk to the artist in a virtual setting. I think that would be fantastic. Now, I'm not much into my apparel, but again, if it was an item of clothing, it might be more difficult. But I'm thinking here, that's a piece of art or craft, let's say, or an item of furniture. Cathal, you'll know that I'm a big advocate of cycling, and you and I have chatted about this. But imagine I was I'm thinking of Brendan there in Bridgend Bikes, right, in Newry. And imagine you had a CAD of the latest. I ride a bike called a Cannondale. Imagine we had that, and I had the ability to talk to Brendan at length about this bike without having to drive to Newry or anywhere in the world for that matter. But the CAD drawing, what I'm seeing is accurate representation, and I could say to Brendan, "Oh, you see the gear set and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera," and we could have this selling chat conversation. So I think that's not to be lost, and I know you've gone over it there, but I think that's fantastic. I really, really do. And there's not a lot of examples. We're doing that. Maybe we should say to the listeners here, Cathal, Lorcia Design, we're doing a project under the Innovators Programme with it. So it's a 60-hour mentoring project. So the Lorcia Design is ahead of the game in many respects. And here is a template for other businesses to follow. I know I can see already one or two questions around that, but I think it's really, really important to highlight that what you've talked about, that sales opportunity there. It's really important.
Yes, indeed. Like, as I say, I've been into AR for a while. A lot of it, it's very cumulus, very up there. People don't really get it, but this is a direct way to crystallize everything that's happening in the market right now and make it relevant and engage people in a new way to get sales, whether they're unable or unwilling to go into your actual physical shop. So web sales, as I say, a good website can work. It does get you sales, but this is like a social selling element that hasn't been examined really up to this point. So a lot of the work behind Mozilla Hubs is in the acoustics. So here we have two people having a conversation. They can only be heard if they're within a certain earshot of each other. Here they are listening to music coming from the stage. And here's a client explain to the customer what a piece of art is, while simultaneously other conversations are happening in the same space, in the same time. Like platforms such as this, Microsoft Teams, Zoom, they're great, but it's only ever one or two people talking, and there's no social element. Like if you had 40 people, I'm sure people have been having family quizzes and everything over the pandemic, and if everybody starts talking at once, it's just insane. People just doesn't work. Well, this way you could have a virtual room, it could be a virtual party, it could be a conference, it could be 1,200 people. You could have stages. It's just the acoustics is a very big part, as well as the ability to have live linking, which I'll return to in a moment. And again, artists have a chance to perform, which hasn't been a big thing. I'll come to that in a little while as well. That's where we're going into hospitality. But just the acoustics is a very big part, where you have the real world, real-time interaction, and you have to be up close to somebody to hear what they're saying, or further away if you want to hear what they're saying. And the music is acoustic.
Could I jump in there, Cathal?
Yeah.
That's a very good diagram, and I watched you create this doing your vectors, which was very impressive the way you did this. I mean, it's a simple diagram, but it actually explains how this operates. So let's say you have a virtual room of, I'm going to guess here, about 30 people. Does it not get a bit complicated with too many people talking?
Well, that's the idea of it. You can set up the room. There's various parameters you can set the room up. So you want to do a performance. It's a slightly acoustic difference.
Yeah.
If you're 30 people in a room that's virtually 9 foot wide square, of course it's going to be loud. But you can make the room whatever size you want. You could, you can have halls, conference halls, but you still have to be up to 24 acoustic inches to be able to be heard. And if you're 6 inches, you're going to be heard louder. But this was designed for headsets, virtual reality headsets, which are very, very sophisticated acoustic pieces of equipment. There's a turn, and we'll try it later on.
Yeah, okay.
But this has all been compressed, pulled into web VR, and pulled into everybody has on their pocket a phone. You don't even need an app. It really is a game changer for people trying to sell.
So I guess, one of the things we're talking about future scenarios, but holding live conversations for businesses. Then, if you're trying to sell a product, I think we now understand that how that could work. But apart from that, it could be, as you mentioned, on a social or a family, for family reunions or special gatherings, big birthdays, school reunions. I've used the example in the past of maybe it's special occasions where you're reliving a sporting occasion. I've used the example in the past of like the Ulster Rugby in 1999, or Down or Armagh playing Gaelic football when they're trying to relive the All-Ireland winning experiences, or your own school team, hockey, football, whatever sporting occasion, or a special event that happened, Bill Clinton visiting Belfast. The list goes on. So you could bring people together and reminisce, which is what we all love to do in this social space.
Yeah, it is a social space, but it's a social space where you can sell in as well.
Okay.
Yeah, which rather people updating websites, have built websites. I know right now people aren't investing money in websites, but this is a way where with a little training, a little knowledge, and if anybody wants to reach out to us, we can help you with that. Yeah. You have a whole new selling platform which can complement and maybe even substitute, if need be. We don't know what lockdowns are going to bring, your bricks and mortar shop. And it gives you a social element for people to come in and talk, and you can sell as well. That's retail. And the hospitality will come to now where you can have artists playing either live or recorded. And then in the event sector as well, it's going to be a big thing, because you can bring people together virtually. And even after the pandemic, when the events industry returns, this will be a part of it. It'll be a supplemental virtual conferencing, which will complement what you're doing in the real space.
Okay.
So I'm just going to touch again on the
e-commerce. Yeah, this is good. Yeah, looking at the people that are in today, this is very relevant.
Yeah. Now everybody needs this, whatever sales stream you can get at the minute. This is a whole other way to do it, but it links straight to your website. There you are, straight in, bang. And you can, as I say, you can get up to 30, 40, 50 people in here at once. If you're having a product launch or an exhibition launch, you can invite people and you come in and have your nice evening and present and give a guided tour. Or if you want to arrange a single one-on-one guided tour to show your artwork off, that's definitely an option. And it's got that personal touch, and it opens up the possibility of closing the sale rather than just hoping the website works or social media posts work. And all right, you get analytics and feedback, but there's something when you're talking to somebody voice to voice, it's a different selling environment, which has been sadly lacking over the past 4 months. And this is a way to replace that. So,
I mean, literally that was 3. You're in the room, 1, 2. That was the classic 3 clicks there nearly.
Oh yeah, yeah. Because even platforms, even trying to sell from within site apps, like nobody's going to do the 6 clicks to get to that page.
Yeah,
that was 1 click, and that means, as a web designer, that means a lot. The simplicity of it and the beauty of it, and this whole room that you're looking at now, but if anybody's into technical, this is 15 megabytes total, everything, which is that the image that's on the website is probably bigger.
Yeah.
It is very lightweight. I've been getting to know it very, very well, and the more I'm into it, the more I'm convinced this is where the future of VR is for the time being. While the headsets and the big budget apps and all that are great to be working on, to be honest, this is the most effective web sales tool I've found for AR or VR in my time at it.
Really?
Yeah, like simplicity of it for the user and for the retailer. There's no app development. There's just a bit of learning, a bit of sculpting. Everything's open source and free. Now, for conferences and stuff, Mozilla Hubs have a server. You can hire out servers. You're going to have 500 people. You're going to need a lot of speed, and that's fair enough. But for where we are, for businesses to complement your bricks and mortar, if you're hospitality, it'll do that wonderfully. You can replicate your actual bar premises, or working on one of those at the minute, or replicate the shop, or just design a whole new virtual shop. But the key is you can buy straight away. No third-party app. There's no linking up. It's just straight to your CM, your content management system, and whatever shop system you have through the website. There's nothing to integrate with apps, which can get very clumsy, especially if you're updating stock. And if you know,
I mean, that's so significant for everyone today, because you know, and I'll include myself here in this, because I kind of, and I know Sarah there has recently, she was telling me she's done a wee bit of web stuff, but I'm thinking, if you're saying to me today, this is the best, and you've been doing this for 25, 30 years, this is one of the best solutions for, you know, web solution for business. And yes, there's a bit of learning you have to invest in. The cost, whilst it's not minimal, isn't a major cost. Probably the biggest investment is one in time, I think I'm getting from you here. So are we really going to see this coming into play more?
Well, COVID has really accelerated the use of AR, well, not just for sales. Like over the pandemic, HoloLens, there's a Microsoft HoloLens. It just came in its own in one of the hospitals in England. It was Guy's Hospital. But long story short, they're training people. HoloLens projects images on the inside of their HoloLens headset. Over the pandemic, doctors are going in to examine COVID patients. Now, normally they'd have 3 or 4 people with them, or even students can watch it. So the other, say this is a head doctor and he knows more than the other 6 or 7 people on the rounds. He can sit in the office looking through HoloLens and then what they're seeing, and then he can relay it back what the x-ray is, what the treatment is, what to do next. So instead of one specialist coming out, having the PPE, get change washed, 40 minutes later go and see the next patient, they have junior doctors who can take instruction through the HoloLens on site, and then they could change PPE. And it's estimated that it saves something like 70,000 pieces of PPE by employing 4 HoloLenses in a hospital over the 4 months.
Is that, where's that at the moment? Where's that happening at the moment?
I think it's Guy's Hospital in
London. Okay.
I'm sending links afterwards.
Okay.
But that's the headset. That's something that's all wonderful. But to pull it back down into where we are for business, to try and get yourself in front of a customer, or get customers into your shop. You can't get them into your shop at the minute. Well, the shops are opening slowly and people are a bit reticent. So this can bridge the reticence, get people in. You can actually talk to them in real time. Use your sales skills that you built up, rather than hoping a website or a social media, even messaging posts. Do work. They're a bit clunky, and sometimes people aren't going to type a question if it's too long or sounds, and then they just lose interest. Whereas if there's just natural flow of talking, they'll structure the question some way. You'll get there, you'll answer it, you'll fill their need, you'll get the sale.
Okay. So what I'd love to do now is hear from Ian Sands. I'm looking at your poster here, and that's fantastic. I'm really just getting the concept here. So obviously you had Van Morrison, which will probably catch everybody's attention, but Ian Sands, I know you know, and I know of Ian, and I don't know Bernie and I know those names. I have to confess, I'm not the biggest of Blue fans as much as I like the music, but so just maybe explain to everyone what's happening here.
This started when over the past 3 or 4 months, Mozilla Hub has come on leaps and bounds, and it's open source software, and it does so much more now than it did a few months ago. When I was starting to work in the college, we were examining this. I was just sort of see what it can do, have a few ideas, get a platform up. Again, I'm looking for simplicity. This is a screen recording of just the web page. It's on my site. The idea is it's a virtual poster. There's groups and bands listed. So that can go on exponentially. That's just a website, simple web link, and you can have whatever you want. You can change it. You can have posters for different days. But the idea is there's that gig from a couple of years ago. You can go there, revisit it in a virtual space. So you go through the procedure, enter on screen, there's your audio setting up, enter now, and you're in the room. So there's a virtual room. There's, I think there's Pat McManus band playing.
Right.
Just turn the volume down because I knew you'd be talking over it. But again, the closer you get to the stage, you hear it.
Yeah.
Further away now, this is a way to help artists and the premises, the venues in the middle of this pandemic. So there's a click. So you want to help the artists, you can make a donation. A lot of people are doing stuff like this, playing live on Facebook and putting a PayPal me link.
Right. Yeah.
That's just the key. So there you go. If you like the performance, you can help the artist. There's the artist getting a bit of exposure, his website. If he's selling anything, there it is. You can link to that.
Could you hold that thought for a second?
Yeah.
What if Pat? So Pat, there's a video of Pat McManus playing there. Pat's playing in the background. Could I talk to Pat, or I'm going to ask you about this? Could Pat be playing, as well as the video historically from 3 years ago? Could Pat be playing live?
Yeah, we have sourced. I'm looking at that right now. Yes, is the broad answer. There's a technology called Open Broadcast Studio, which is free and open source. That's when we're trying to angle away. So if somebody wants to set this up,
Sorry, what was that? OBS?
OBS, okay. Yeah. Open Broadcast Studio. It's used for a lot of gamers, a lot of streamers use it, but the technology is urgent. It's robust, it's tested. So yeah, you can have where's the stage? I'm just trying to find this video. Yeah, you can be streaming live to the stage. And wherever you're setting up, you could be setting up in the living room. It could be a recorded performance. It could be, even when this is over, like for hospitality industries, looking at the prospect of virtual weddings or half and half virtual weddings where 50 people are in the hall with a band and another 150 are linked up to a virtual digital room, twin of the room, and you're able to interact, see what's happening, and Pat's playing live, or whatever wedding band's playing live. There you go. And with the integration, you could have a 360 camera to see the actual crowd that's there. You have that projected to a dome. Now this would take a bit of money actually for the server speed and the server space, but that's where we're going. Where you're going to have to dinner. You have 3 people at the actual table, 5 people have got the same meal sent out to them that day. So 360 camera sitting in the middle.
Can you choose? Can you choose who you want to come to dinner and who you want to come virtually?
That's all. Yeah. It's all links. This is just what is, Pat. That's what I'm playing with next. But there is going to be a hybrid now of people who are in the real room and in the virtual, because we're struggling through this. Some people feel uncomfortable, some people don't, and people feel they're missing out. But this way, you've got social interaction. You've got real talking in real time. You can see the people you're talking to.
You used a term there, and I've come across it as well. You used a term there called digital twin. Could you explain a bit again about that, please, just for those who may not be familiar with it?
It does mean a lot different. I come across it from a CAD background, 3D modeling and stuff.
Okay.
It was a good way to build, like quantity severe. If you're building a building and you get the AutoCAD drawings, whenever I was doing 3D renders, you would virtually build it. And then you have what's called the digital twin, and then the flaws would show up. But it just means there's a digital version of what you're actually trying to make, and then you can model the digital version, see if it can be done better.
Okay.
But it's just a term that sort of has mushroomed out of the CAD world, and it's now a photocopy, whatever you want to call it. But it's a virtual representation of what you have in the real world. So again, you can support the artist, or that can be any link. If you're selling something, or even those walls could be advertising space. We don't know. Everything's possible now. But that's just the simplicity of it. There's no app here. That's just on a computer screen. It works on a phone. Works on anything that can connect to the internet. It does work on headsets as well, beautifully, by the way.
So in terms of, and this may come forward in the questions that I or Sarah put forward, but so certainly at Southern Regional College, we have a couple of examples. I know you now have been looking at Lordship Design, but you've been also working with the Bridge Bar in Newry on a virtual space. So there are 2 examples that we're currently. Are you aware of, like, outside of Mozilla Hubs, of other examples on, where this is happening? Something similar to this is happening. I'm thinking about in the art world, for example. I know we saw the apart example there, but is this happening elsewhere?
Yeah, and various platforms and various technologies can reach to it. But I was coming in with an angle of keep it simple, open source, cost way down, and just use those parameters. Yeah, you can. Augmented reality is everywhere. There's so many apps out there, so many. There's a thing, Matterport, for doing real estate. It's fantastic 3D photography, but again, it's prohibitively expensive, and for what you get, the colors can be off, and there's no real manipulation. You don't own the files. Matterport own them, but fantastic use of technology. There's lots of other AR, like the most famous one of AR, probably Pokemon Go a few years ago. I developed a couple of apps using the same sort of technology, but that's important for tourism and for
oh no, certainly in tourism. I mean, in the whole trails, what I was mentioning earlier on about trails, that's coming in a lot. You mentioned Pokemon Go, and we've been working with a company that you know well, Brilliant Trails. Alan from Brilliant Trails, he's done a lot around Northern Ireland and the UK for interactive trails using augmented reality and moving it across. And last couple of weeks ago, we had Thomas McVeigh on from Virtual VR and Virtual Visitor, and he was talking about the projects that he's been working on, and I know you've been working on as well in East Belfast. So the AR Belfast story. So yeah, certainly there's lots of examples of hotels around the world using AR anyway and coming into VR. I guess what my angle here very much is, and maybe that might come forward in some of the questions, is how, like, is this sky high stuff, or really can businesses get to grips with this relatively easy?
It is. That's what I'm trying to design and get across here. It's a skill you have to learn, but it's not. You're not learning programming. You're not learning coding. If you can get in around the website, or even social media, or even a lot of the Microsoft stuff, the Excel is, it's just apply yourself. I've made it as simple as we possibly can. All the software is free and open source. It's just the skill and the modeling, but it's a skill, you can just learn it. And the price is right, and the time is right, and it gets you your stuff in front of other people.
Yeah, I can see a couple of questions coming in, and Ashley and Sarah, you can let me know if there's any more, but there's a couple coming in. If we want to move maybe to questions and answers, then I can see one, and it's actually talking about cost here. Yeah. Which we I suppose haven't really nailed down cost yet. How much does a virtual room cost?
Well, I'm not to be obtuse, but how much? It depends what the room has to do. It depends what you want from it, what you're selling, what you want, and what time you want to put into it. It's like the same question: how much is a real room? What size? What do you want in it? It's not. I've put it like this: I'm taking the cost down way as far as we can, because I've developed apps where you pay, like, 500 quid for before you license for a year, 600 sometimes for Unity, and then you get into Apples and buying third-party plugins. This cost just goes up, and the time. I've sort of tried to strip all that away. It's not even an app; it's a web link. The technology is there.
That question was from that question came in from Scott. Thanks, Scott. Quite a longer question from Neil, who we both know quite well, from Neil Bradley here. He's interested in hosting a virtual festival. He's one of the organisers of Irv Contra, which is a music and arts festival. It was cancelled this year. So he plans to have it virtually using some kind of technology. And he's aligned with the Albert Basin project, and he wants to have the festival on a virtual Albert Basin. I can't see the rest of the question, but he's been rendering 3D. We have been rendering of the AB, Albert Basin as the city park we hope it to be. I suppose, guess what Neil's asking there is, is this suitable for Irv Contra?
Yeah, if you have a 3D model of the Albert Basin, I think I know the one you're talking about. Yeah, we can pull that in. Yeah, definitely make that up and get it out as a Mozilla Hub's virtual space. It'd be great too. Yes. You could have the whole basin, and then I'm just thinking about it with the different venues around here. You could have virtual versions of, like, Man Rises the Bridge. You could run it just like that festival poster. You could have different posters for each day. That's ideal.
Yeah.
And
okay.
Have it hosted in the virtual basin. Yeah.
So Neil, I suppose back to you, Neil. I think the answer there is yes. This could be done. It could be done. Okay. I guess another question similar to one already about cost, and then a question from Gwyn Stevens, who we both know, Gwen, a local artist. Is this like Minecraft for grown-ups?
Right, yeah, if you want. No, it's a bit more sophisticated. There's a bit more going on to the moment. There's no acoustics. Well, there is acoustics in Minecraft, but no, it's well, it is built along. There's a lot of similarities. Put it like that. You're not a million miles away, but it's the application of be able to.
And the question from Scott is: we're recording it. We are. Yes, we are. Now, another question. Are you okay to take a couple of more?
Oh, aye.
Another question from Gwen. If a user has an Oculus or a VR headset, does that make the end user experience higher quality?
Yeah.
Good point. Good question.
Yeah, it does, because I'm stretching the AR capabilities straight over onto screens, because if you're going to reach most people, like AR headsets, some of them, some of them I can't wear because of glasses, and I'm working on it. It's stretching that existing technology to the point where it actually works on anything with a screen, and that's the beauty, the simplicity, and the hinge of all this, really. Because I mean, I can make
on a personal level. I have tried Oculus and Oculus Go. I don't know if it's as you get older, this is more of an issue, but certainly I feel a wee bit lightheaded. If there's a lot of movement, I feel a wee bit lightheaded after that. A comparison to what we're going to be going in and having a look at Mozilla Rooms, no problem, you know. But I find when wear a headset, and I don't know if that applies to is that an age-related thing, but I find a wee afterwards. Ooh, I'm a wee bit lightheaded.
Yeah, a bit of middle ear going on there.
Well, possibly, yeah. That's just me.
You do get used to it, but as you're saying, you jump in, it's not intuitive, it's not natural. Everybody understands a phone screen.
Okay. A question from Thomas here, from Thomas McVeigh, again, virtual visitor. Hi, guys. Are you able to use your own server to host a project like this?
Yeah.
Or is it tied to Mozilla?
No, you can. I'll send you all that through. You can AWS servers. You can host them wherever you want. Actually, we'll point them right to your server. Yeah.
Okay, and that's a good question and a good answer. Can this software be used for virtual networking events in multiple breakout rooms?
Absolutely, because it would have to be. Yeah. I'll send you the link through to that.
That's from Anonymous. I don't know who sent that, but it's a good question.
Which I will send a lot of links out after. I'll just make it. You'll see that apart. Posters from a distance. I'll send you the link where they have the same exhibition in 14 rooms, and just to avoid overcrowding, once one room fills up, it goes into the other, and then you can actually designate people to go to each room or not, as the case may be. But yes, that's built in.
Okay, another question coming from Gwen. Have you any thoughts on using virtual reality with people with dementia, older people, or balance issues?
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, I have my colleague Brian, who I know is, I don't know if Brian's able to turn his mic on there. Brian, if you want to come in here. My colleague Brian and I, certainly at one stage about a year ago, we had a client based on Warren Point, and Brian and I were looking at this as a possibility. Now, because of the COVID-19, and obviously there's challenges around that, but actually not virtual. We were looking at some kind of a hybrid model to assist people with dementia, where you could have using technology basically to help them. And I'm guessing the question here would be, I could see this very much helping the loved ones and the carers. Obviously, you need to give it a wee bit of thought as to using it in a care facility.
There are already projects using VR with dementia patients to actually help them to remember, and also to make sure that they're tagged, and not so much tagged, but they're flagged to do things. But one of the things that they've done is they've used them to actually recreate scenes and recreate messaging and stuff like that, which then triggers their memory and actually helps them understand what's going on. So the other thing they use it for is foreshadowing or previewing what's going to happen next. So if there's a move coming up or something like that, they'll use it as a way of actually saying, well, this is what we're going to be doing, this is where you're going to be going. So I've actually used this myself with not VR per se, but similar concept with my own son, because you have to be very careful and explain everything that's going to happen to him. Otherwise, he doesn't really understand it. So using VR, you get that higher resolution experience. Balance issues, and Kieran, the issue for you on balance as well. It's the disconnect between what you see with your eyes and what you feel with your ears. The balance issues one, people with balance issues should not use virtual reality headsets unless they really want to try and work on getting rid of the balance issues. It depends a lot on why they've got them, but using it on the screen like this is ideal.
Yeah, no, I from experience to have to go. Well, listen, that's very interesting, and thanks, Brian. Thanks for your intervention there and for coming in and adding to the answers there. That's been really, really helpful. For an artist, Cathal, if you wanted to show 15 artworks in a simple space, how much? I don't know. Yeah, talk to us, I think, is the answer. If you're using Mozilla Hubs, if we can try and help you in some way at SRC, perhaps there's a project there we could certainly look at. Would that be the answer?
Yeah, we'll definitely have a chat. It's not that hard, really.
I think, Karl, the question for a lot of people is the ongoing costs, and this is one of the questions that has plagued this kind of thing in the past, is how much does it cost to run? From what I've seen, it's not very expensive to run, as in it's not thousands, it's maybe tens, between tens and hundreds at most. But you've got to watch it and be careful what you do. Would that be right?
And sorry, what? In
the ongoing costs, you have to be kind of careful of, if you pack too much ongoing live video, then it starts to ramp up. So you have to watch your costs, but it's not a lot of money.
No, so it's not like compared to if you're paying for app development, paying for licenses. It's not like you're paying for web hosting. That's for your website. You're paying so much a month. It's a bill. It's not. You can do it for nothing, but if whatever you're paying, it'll perform better. But the stuff I've covered this morning.
Cheaper than renting a room.
Sorry.
It's cheaper than renting a room or a gallery.
Sure. Oh, yeah, and it's a lot more efficient.
Yeah.
Think of it as a web space. You pay for a website, you pay for web hosting, you get what you pay for. But this is much better than web hosting because you can update it dynamically. The platform costs aren't anything really. If you're doing a large conference, you would pay for an AWS server for a couple of days. It would take a couple of days to set up. That's the big expense. But a one-off like that, yes. But for shops, the sort of things I'm detailing here today, no, there's no real cost. Once it's set up and running, that's it. It runs until you can. Oh yeah, you have the option to close the room if you want. You can change the room's address. There's a lot of GDPR issues that are covered by this because everybody comes in anonymously. There's no IP sniffing. There's no data capture. We don't own anything. You come in anonymously as an avatar. You're called Fluffy Bear 101. That's for that reason. There's no data capture. You can submit forms when you're in the room. You can link to any website. You can ask questions. You can share your screen. You can share video. I didn't want to go into that deep. We're just at the top of it here today. But there's a lot of power in behind this that hasn't been displayed or examined here today.
Cal, before we take one more question, thanks for that, Brian. Before we take one more question, are we giving people a link to Mozilla Hubs or not today?
Yeah, we can do that. Yeah. Take them in the Lordship after this. Have a wee look around.
I think Sarah was just asking me, do we post that on the Q&A?
Or I can just do it in chat or what way you want to, whatever.
You can post that in the Q&A or send Sarah the link.
Yeah.
And she could put that in the chat, the live event Q&A box.
Okay.
And while you're simultaneously, I'm going to challenge you here. While you're doing that, there's one more question, and I think that'll be us for the questions. So say you want to create a theatre space. You talked about this earlier on. So you want to create this theatre space to show individual presentations. And the question is, how would you go about this?
A theatre space as in performing artists?
I think that's what it's an anonymous question. I think that was what the person who put the question forward is getting at here. Okay,
right. The easiest way to do it, there's a platform in behind Hubs. It's called Mozilla Spoke, where you can actually build 3D spaces using the block elements. It's rather like somebody mentioned Minecraft a while ago.
Yeah.
You can build a simple space. Some of those things I showed you earlier were built in that environment. Or if you know a bit about 3D modeling, you can model in your various program and take it in. There's a couple of formats that will come in under. Like GLTF, I'll just take it in. You can go. You can get full You can go into Blender or Unity and really texture it up, bake lights, do the whole efficiency techniques if you want to go that detailed, and then import it into a free software called Mozilla Spoke, then put that into hubs, and then that's your...
The Mozilla Spoke is linked to Mozilla Hubs. So if you have Mozilla Hubs, whether it's a license or you sign up for it,
Yeah,
you
it's free.
automatically sign up for Mozilla Spoke as well?
Yeah, it's free. This is free open source software. Everything I'm talking about today.
Excellent. Okay. If you're able to find that link and post it.
Yeah.
A question from Paul Deeds. Paul, he says he maybe missed this, but does the AR space have to be a generic interior? And if not, how do you go about building a replica of your building's internal features? It is very time consuming or even possible with the less expensive software.
Oh, it's totally possible if most public buildings or most buildings have planning permission drawings. So if you have an AutoCAD file somewhere, it can be made up just by using that. Or you can 3D scan it, but the best way it is just to basically take it into whatever program to sketch up, take the AutoCAD in, build up your room. You can go to whatever level detail you want. But yes, Paul, that can be done not very easily.
Okay, and Paul, if you, I don't know what your business is, Paul, but if you want to get in contact with Cathal or myself or any of us at business support, with Sarah or Ashley or Brian or any of us, certainly we'll try and we get a handle on what you're looking for, and that is, I suppose, what Sarah's going to be talking about with anyone else who's looking for. So, Cathal, I don't see really any more questions. I'm just going to check. I can't see any more questions. In terms of the link, then, Cathal, do we have it handy?
Yeah, I'm just going to stop sharing the screen and then I'll put it in the chat. Okay.
Yep. So you're going to post the link in the chat, Sarah. If you're there, Sarah, if I could move across to you. Hi, Sarah. If I could move across to you now, Sarah, if you'd maybe talk for a couple of minutes while Cathal's getting that link. If you'd talk a little bit about maybe what's coming up on further support. Thanks, Sarah.
Thank you very much to Cathal and Kieran for that presentation. I just wanted to jump in quickly here to talk about the support that SRC have available for businesses. The Skills Focus Programme, to start off with, is a training programme. It's funded by the Department of the Economy to provide non-mandatory training, and has recently been extended from 75% funded to fully funded in response to the COVID-19. So there's great opportunities there for funding for businesses. The Innovators programme offers 30 to 60 hours of mentoring or upskilling on a one-to-one basis through virtual or on-site or at the college for an innovative product, process or service. Okay. With innovation vouchers, they're a great way to avail of R&D opportunities and resources for innovation solutions for business issues. Although with this one, it is important to remember that there's a VAT element to the programme, and it's funded by Invest NI. There is an Enterprise Ireland offering which is similar. The Fusion programme offers businesses the opportunity to get a high caliber graduate into your business, partially funded through Intertrade Ireland with mentor support provided by the college. And the Knowledge Transfer programme is a similar scheme, and it's funded through Innovate UK. So as you can see, the college is able to provide a wide variety of support for businesses. So feel free to contact us at betterbusiness@src.se.uk. and we can talk through your specific requirements. We're holding further webinars. In fact, our next one is next week with our very own Kieran Swail. It's titled First Steps to Creating Your Own Podcast. And that's next Friday, the 7th of August at 9:30 again. There will be further ones after that, so you can check our social media channels for a full list of the upcoming events.
We've got three left, Sarah. It's the Brian's on the 14th with the Brian's the 14th, and then Jimmy on the lean implementation is on the 21st. Brian's looking at cybersecurity, and Jimmy's looking at the application of lean, I suppose, not just in manufacturing, but the lean process to businesses. And then that'll be really 7 webinars Sarah will have done. Really 8 if we count in Wayne's, but 7 is part of our summer series. And the feedback, I think, as a team we've been getting, Sarah, is very much Right, what about your autumn series? I'm already hearing a couple of questions. And you know, I have a few ideas. I'm sure the team has a few ideas about the autumn series. So yeah, no, this is good.
Well, as part of the follow-up email that we'll be sending out this afternoon with the link, you know, the recording for this webinar, and the feedback survey, there's a box in there that we would be very interested in getting responses of ideas that we could do for our autumn series. Yeah. So we'll send that out with this afternoon, hopefully, with all the information from today's webinar. So please make use of that, and if you have any suggestions for webinar areas, for areas that we can cover in the autumn series, we'll definitely consider that. So that would move forward. I see that Kieran or Cathal has just put the link into the Q&A section there for the Mozilla Hubs. So if anybody wanted to go and join you there, they'll see you there. So
Cathal, if you want to say a thing before Sarah just closes off, if you want to say a thing, and then maybe I'll say one word and then we'll close off, Sarah. Okay. Go ahead, Cathal.
I can see a few people. It may take a minute or two to load to get into the virtual shop, but come on in, and thanks for attending today. And if you have any questions, I'll just reach out either through the college, or if you know me, reach out to me. And thank you.
Yeah, likewise, just to say thanks, Cathal and Sarah and Ashley and Brian and all the team. It's been great today. I think thanks for everybody chipping in there. As Sarah rightly says, you know, I think this is very significant, what we're talking about today, and just hearing what's in the news and the way we're going to be doing business. I think this does really represent a fantastic opportunity, notwithstanding Brian's point there about investment and time, and my own as well. But I think this is going to be very good. So I'm going to jump into Mozilla Hubs. Just for everyone, the link there, what happens is when you go in here, Cathal, maybe just explain before you go what will actually happen once you click the link.
Yeah, when you click the link, you'll say enter room. There's two options: enter on screen or enter on a headset. Select enter on screen. It takes a little while to load up. When you come in, there'll be some instructions just how to move. That's WASD keys, what means anything to gamers, or arrow keys, moves you back, forth, right and left. If you want to talk to somebody, walk up to them and just try and do what we're seeing. If you right click on the images on the walls, you'll be able to see them at full scale. And if you click the link, you'll be taken to the website, and we'll take it from there. It's just the Teamspeak is using the same channels as the Mozilla Hub, so if you close this down and then jump over to Hubs, it'll work better. A lot of people are stuck in the lobby because of that.
Okay, so Sarah, that's us, I think. Thank you very much today. We're going to be, certainly Cathal and I, and maybe Brian there and a few others, will be in Mozilla Hubs for 5 or 10 minutes. If you want to come in and your avatar and have a chat with us, we'll look forward to that. And once again, thank you very much. Over to you, Sarah.
That's great. Thank you very much for everybody. And as I said, we'll be sending out the follow-up to this afternoon with a link to the recording of the webinar, some resources on it, and the link to the survey. So please, if you could give us 5 minutes to complete that short survey with any ideas for upcoming webinars, that would be greatly appreciated. Thank you very much, and we'll see you over Mozilla Hubs. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.